Hey, what's up, party people? Welcome back to the Fresh Kids podcast.
Hey,
My name is
hey.
Jaira,
Nick.
Jovan.
and today we have
Yo, yo. I'm back
Yo
again.
Yo. We have Yo Yo.
Shabani.
We have
Jovan-
Yo Yo
Jovan is
joining
back
us.
again.
Jovan is back again.
Jovan is back again. Finally.
How
I
you
made the
been?
cut again.
What do you mean? I mean,
You
I
made
think
the cut.
the last time we had a chat, it was awesome. It was pretty good. We
Yeah.
talked about
Mm.
cancel. No.
No.
We talked about a culture. Testing myself. Quitting culture.
Yes.
Ah,
Talk about
yes,
quitting
I remember
culture.
that one.
So that was pretty cool. And now we have you on today, and we're just gonna.
Also, kind of about
catch up,
culture,
man.
right?
Mm.
It's kind of about culture
Yeah, it
again.
is kind of about culture as well.
He's a
Um,
cultural guy.
Wow.
Yeah. I just
Wow.
want to point out first that look at Jovan's shoes.
Why do you think he's sitting like that, man? Trying to
Yeah.
show it off.
Yeah,
That's right.
Bit
That's right.
fresh,
Special
bit
occasion puts
clean.
them on.
That's right.
Yeah. So, how you guys been? Been good?
Been pretty good.
Pretty
It's
decent.
been busy.
Anything interesting with you, Yohan? Oh, I see that. See that
Oh,
face?
yes,
She knows
yes,
what I'm gonna
yes.
ask her. You
Right.
might as well share.
Yeah, might as
I
well
mean, you
tell
don't
us.
have to say the name. We won't say no names.
You know, saying
No name
names.
droppings, you know?
This only came to mind because you've been freaking talking about it this whole time.
Okay. It's like she brings up a topic that I just didn't was totally unaware
Is
of.
this the?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So there's a cafe that I go to very often to go get
Ooh.
work done, do admin, do logistics, life logistics, everything.
Without me.
And without him, because he's at work, obviously, then
Mm.
yeah, I just go
On
alone.
purpose. On
Yeah,
purpose without you.
I'm
So
somehow
I'm
always at
sitting
work.
there alone, and I'm just getting my work done, minding my own business. And at this cafe, this one guy always comes to serve me. But then, like, there's always like really friendly staff, like the whole staff team, like make conversation with you and everything. And so I thought it was just normal. And then one day, he comes up to me and was like, "Oh, how's your week?" Da da da. So I just reciprocate, and I was like, "How's your week?" And he goes, "Oh, like." Is this too much? I don't know. He goes, "Oh, I just like broke off my engagement." I was like, "Oh, that's nice."
Okay.
Like, what do you say to that?
You
Like,
say that's nice.
I was like, "Oh, are you okay?" Like, I didn't know what to say, so I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." Anyway, and then so that sort of like ended, and then the next time I went, I had a coffee and I was doing my work, and he came to like make conversation like 2-3 times, and then the last time he came around, he passed me like a coffee, like an iced latte, my order, like iced latte, honey, right? And he came to my table with like a little, those like paper coasters, and then he hands it to me, and I was like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't order another coffee. It's probably the other table." And he goes, "Oh, no, on me." And then he puts the coffee down and flips the coaster, and there's his name and his number, and I look at him, I'm like, I have a boyfriend. I talk about him all the time. He's like, "Nah, it's just friendly." I'm like, "What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
Is that
What do you
normal?
mean? What do you mean? You do this to everyone?" Anyway, just a little happening in my week.
That sounds like so out of the ordinary for me. I feel like that's stuff I see on TV or on the
I feel
movies.
like it's because you're a boy.
Stuff
Maybe.
that
Yes.
never happens to us.
Bro, it's not the first time this has happened to you. One like this other times, like we were like eating out together. Were you there? Like it was at the Anything La corner.
Yes, I remember.
Yeah, and this
my
guy was like
Oh.
serving us. And he was like just buttering us up. I'm like, man, this is some really good service for like a Malaysian place. And not saying that Malaysians don't have manners. Okay, I love Malaysians. All right. But the thing is, like, yeah, he was like pouring water for us, and it's like kind of odd, I picked up on it. I was like, "Why is this guy doing this?" Right?
I didn't
Goes
think
away.
that was odd. I don't
Then this
know.
other guy comes out and he's like, "Oh, excuse me. What did he say to you?" He's like, "Oh, like my friend at the back. He thinks you're really pretty. Was he like saying, "Oh, give him a chance or something
I
like
can't
that?"
Was there another
remember,
number?
honestly.
Was it?
I was
Nah,
just
it wasn't like that. But
I was just like, dang it, like I really love eating here. Like,
Can't
damn
come
it,
here
man.
anymore. And the funny thing is, Nick was there too.
I was right.
And he was just eating,
I was just right next to her.
unbothered, just eating.
That's all right. More for you, Nick.
Bro, yeah, it's the same. It's even like on my TikTok. I remember I posted a video about my girlfriend, literally in the title saying my girlfriend, and this guy goes, "Is she single?" I was like, bro, I am not here right now. People just see through me. My presence is not felt.
Sorry.
But okay,
It's all right.
your presence. But how's your presence on TikTok? For some of you guys that don't know already, Nick has started his little venture on TikTok.
Come
go.
on.
He's
Oh,
trying to
yeah.
overtake his
Come
brother
on.
and Yewan.
Yeah, right here.
And he's doing pretty well. I mean,
I'm surprised
Low-key's
myself.
actually doing pretty well.
How many views, or is it views that you have, or is it likes?
I get no, I think views don't really matter,
Oh.
right?
But it's
They
still a
kinda
lot of eyes
do,
looking at your content,
yeah.
man.
Yeah, well, I'm not there yet. I'm nowhere close where other people
What
are
do you,
at.
okay, one of his videos, 1.7 million views.
Hey, yo.
What do you mean?
1.7.
Can you
What do you
imagine all
mean?
those eyes just watching
like,
your content? It's
Yeah,
crazy, bro.
but no, I just did it because I just thought, why not? You know, because Yeon makes me take so many photos of her and stuff. It's all on my phone, so I might as well use it.
So you're
That is true.
transitioning from the background to the forefront.
Exactly.
Come on.
Some would argue I
on.
was always on the forefront. Okay, no, I'm kidding.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding.
All right.
I'm going to get a long text after this,
Yeah.
but
Maybe
No.
you'll be the one starting to get numbers, you know?
He actually will. Like,
Numbers on coasters.
yeah, we'll see what happens. But I don't know. For me, it's doing it, but you guys know why. I think like for people that don't know, I'm only doing it because I get very anxious on social media and stuff like that. So I'm never really post much like of things, but I felt like this year I really wanted to just do it to get myself used to just not caring about what people would think, because some of the content is. I do cheesy stuff because I know people like seeing it, or cringy stuff, or even funny stuff. But I know that my mind gets really clogged in terms of like I worry about what people may think, like people that I know. But doing this just helps me kind of get used to it. And then I think it's kind of helped. And it kind of helps
Yeah.
that, you know, a couple of videos just went semi like
Viral.
out into the TikTok world. So it's kind of cool. But I'm just going to keep doing it. Just hope that, you know, for myself, I get better at not caring so much what people think. But at the same time, you know, hopefully if we get sponsored by Arsenal one day, that'll be great.
Oh my god.
But yeah, that's what I want.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That'll be cool.
Has any of those TikTok followers like translated to Instagram, or are you seeing any?
Yeah, like bot accounts. You know,
Hey,
like
that's
user
alright.
five six
We'll
eight
take
seven
those. We'll
three
take
one.
those.
I got like 3. And then next day they're just gone.
Seems high.
You got caught, man.
Yeah.
At least you got it for one day.
Yeah, it is what
One
it is.
day.
You know what I mean? The slow climb. I think I have more followers on TikTok now than I do on Instagram
Oh,
by
there
like a
you
couple
go.
of hundred. So we'll
You
see
do,
how we.
Yeah, I checked like, man,
Oh,
this guy
thanks.
climbing.
Influence
Thanks
Because
for
I went
making.
to like one of your videos.
Oh,
and,
thank
yeah,
you.
I comment sometimes, but you guys haven't replied me at all. It's like
You
don't know
guys.
me.
You guys.
You guys.
Oh,
Yeah,
true.
you as well.
Oh,
Me?
true. Yeah, fair.
Oh.
Sometimes.
I just
Okay.
don't look at it because I still get like I get anxious about a part of what people say, so I try not to read it.
Okay.
I
little by little.
just,
Bit by
but
bit.
slowly I'll get there.
Yeah.
I'll get there.
Low key, okay, high key, all the videos that have done well, that have gone viral, makes me look bad. You can see all the men in the comments just absolutely just raging, like, dump her, leave her, like, not good enough for you. And I'm just like,
What was the most putrid? Can't speak.
putrid.
Yes, you said
It's
it well.
revolting.
I can't say it right now.
Putrid.
But what's the most putrid comment you saw on one of Nick's videos?
It's not okay. Nothing is putrid. It's just funny how like. So there's one video of like him saying like there's like a trend where it's like how much I made as an influencer last year, and it goes month by month.
Yeah.
But he did it in the point of view as how much I made as an Instagram boyfriend, but it's like minus numbers. So it's like obviously he lost
So
money.
that's a 1.7
supporting
million
me.
will.
So creative.
No, that's
Ooh.
not the 1.7 million one. That's a different one. But then like obviously it's like him showcasing that he spends a lot of money on me, right? And there's like figures which we just like randomly made up. And then there's this guy, good old Steve, going, "Oh my god, like this is
Hey,
this
we-
is why we have inequality.
We
This
don't
is
name
why,
drop
like,
though, you know.
da-da-da-da-da-da,
But
like,
damn, I
this
want
is
them to come on
why-
my TikTok page. You go look at it. Make sure you like and
it's-
stuff.
Okay.
So it's the
Honestly,
comments,
though,
you know.
If
Go
you're
for the
gonna be a
comments.
keyboard warrior, then you know you're gonna get flagged sometimes. Your name is gonna be dropped sometimes.
But low key,
So-
he's the one that made me pop off. So thank you.
Hey,
good
thank you,
old
Steve-o.
Thank you, Steve.
Yeah,
for
thank you. You
watching.
got into an argument with every single person on that page,
Yeah.
but
And
it was
all
great.
the girls are just
So
But you
every-
see-
raging.
Yeah, one says that, but on the other side, every comment in every video, oh my gosh, she's so pretty.
how do you feel about that?
No, but it's girls commenting that. So I'm like, oh my god.
I mean, guys, girls don't matter. Hey, just keep the comments coming. Gets the reach going. You know what I mean? So I'm okay. And then one's ego goes up, and it's a good time.
Yeah, I can't read those too often.
Do you think I would get attacked if I commented, "Oh, that chick is punching above her weight"? Do you think all the girls would?
I
Just
think
jump on my
you would
comment?
I
ju-
actually
yeah.
reckon
Get
they would.
flagged,
I
I
actually-
actually reckon.
And
they
then
would.
it will not even go to you. Be like, no, she's so much hotter. Then it'll start insulting
Bro,
me
they-
indirectly, and then I'm gonna be sad.
They'll start
Then I'm
jumping on
gonna
my
be
profile,
anxious.
like-
Then I'm gonna be so
And start
sad.
quitting social media.
Oh my
Just
god.
disappear off the grid.
Yeah. But if it helps with the reach, though, it's okay.
This
Any
man's-
publicity is good publicity.
Exactly right.
True.
It is what it is.
Mm,
You post a video that goes viral about you hating something, people are still gonna search that video and watch it,
Entertain.
right? So
Oh,
there you go.
God.
Andrew Tate.
Any
you know?
Now
publicity
that's
is
a
good
putrid
publicity.
person.
in terms, I mean,
alright.
speaking of publicity, this guy here has another Instagram page that you were talking to me about. The
Oh,
other day when we had
yeah.
Big Dons. Shout out Big Dons, right?
Yeah, shout out
You
Big
talking
Shout out
about,
Big
like,
Dons.
you do a bit of omakase, you know.
Yeah.
This guy's
Oh,
really good at cooking. So if you guys don't
I
know,
try.
we might as well promote your business, right?
Oh no, man.
Come on.
Come on,
Come
man.
on.
I'm
Like,
trying to keep it low, you know.
okay, we'll keep it low,
Low-key.
but we gotta let the people know.
Oh, it's
you know?
right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, yeah. Tell them about that page because I couldn't find it because I didn't. I didn't get the name, so like, go ahead and tell us.
Real download. Oh no, it's just it's like a little hobby page that I started on Instagram.
Mm.
So I've been like you guys know I love Japan and like I love eating. I love like
Absolutely.
sushi. So I've been trying to like really get into that, you know.
Mm.
And I actually find it really, how would you say, it's very therapeutic, you know.
Mm.
And like so the name is it's a little bit like, you know, gathering, you know, the English version.
Mm.
Gathering, because I feel like I like, you know, to bring people together. And I mean that's what food is for, right? You know, you bring
Yeah.
people together, you have a good
Mm.
time, and yeah. But if you want to find out a little bit more, yeah, you could try and look it up on Instagram.
So what? It's called The Gathering, or you didn't tell us the name?
The name is actually called Atsumaru.
Tomorrow.
Atsumaru.
See,
What-
how were we meant to search that
Yeah.
up just then?
Does that mean gathering in Jap?
I think so. I mean, when I
You
Google,
just made up a word.
Did you just Google
Google
Translate?
Translate.
Full on
It
Google
will sound
Translate.
good anyway.
it will sound good.
That is
Yeah,
true.
yeah,
Yeah.
it will sound good. You
And
know,
people will love it more when they find out that it means gathering.
correct.
So good.
Yeah. So I just want like, you know, a page where like close friends they can come together and just chit chat over dinner.
So
And you know,
good.
like omakase, it takes like, you know, 3 to 4 hours. you know.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, it's about the journey and over the counter, some
So good.
drinks, some food.
So good.
It's nice, you know.
Yeah, we gotta do that sometime, bro.
All right, I mean, book it in.
All right, let's book it in.
Come on.
Yeah, let's book it in, guys.
All right.
You guys can have a date and I'll just join in.
Okay.
And it's a fresh, good date, you know.
Okay.
Come on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Have
yeah.
the whole team on.
I mean, how much would you charge us? Would we get mate rates or would you just give us the standard?
Oh, I think you know it's mates rates, you know.
No, no,
Yeah,
we'll pay the
come
full
on.
price.
Oh, there
Wait,
we
what?
go.
No, no,
there
I'm
we go.
Wait, what?
I
Wait,
mean,
what?
I'll wash your dishes for you, man.
Yeah, same man. All right.
Free
All
price.
All right, all right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that's your
Yep.
only on Instagram.
Only on
Little plug.
Instagram for now.
Once you start getting traction, bro, you should just get on TikTok.
I should, eh?
It's like food
Do
porn,
it.
bro. You get into that.
I'll probably
Oh,
need
God.
one's help then.
Oh God.
Well, I mean, you just need hand models, bro.
Hey, yeah, perfect,
Okay.
perfect. Yeah,
models.
one, you know.
All right. Yeah,
Absolutely
one. I guess.
not. I've
Yeah.
got man hands.
Get ready.
Yeah.
You got what now?
I've got man hands. Look,
Nick,
look at
what do you
these
reckon?
little
You should got
stubby
man
little
hands?
man hands. Okay, stop
Nah.
looking at my hands.
Okay. So it's okay. It's like a girl's hand, you know?
Oh,
So
okay.
what is a man's?
Yeah,
hand,
that's what I
actually?
was gonna ask actually.
Dang. Why did I have to say that? I don't know. I've always been told I've got man hands. Like, look at the size of these
So
things.
if you have man
so
hands,
But they're so small.
And they're so.
They're so
they're so-
small.
they're so
no, the
small.
thing is, if she's got man hands, does she manhandle
Oh.
Nick?
What?
Okay.
Let's not talk
anyway,
about
moving
it.
on.
Let's go.
Keep
Moving
that
on.
private.
Yeah,
Right,
let's,
right.
Maybe you see on a TikTok topic, maybe. I
Yeah,
don't know.
Nick's getting ideas now.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
He's
generating.
back burner now. He's just thinking about it behind. Yeah. So, yeah, you know what? I was speaking on Instagram and all this publicity and stuff.
Mm.
Recently, I feel like, I don't know if it's coming out of COVID, you know, people are starting to pick up new, not topics, but hobbies and stuff.
Yeah.
Mm.
And one of those hobbies that I've been seeing a lot more of is pole dancing.
Pole
Ooh.
dancing.
Oh, they just call it pole.
Yes.
Yes,
And like,
yes,
obviously, like,
yes.
the first time you hear about it, you just think
Mm.
that it's kind of like burlesque or like a bit sensual kind of
Yes.
style of
Yep.
dance, which you only really see at the strip clubs, right?
Mm-hmm.
But obviously now there's a different change in that. It's not
Yeah.
just that. It's also like fitness and
Yeah.
health. And it's
Mm.
like Pilates almost.
Yep.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
much, yeah.
So I'm seeing a lot of that on my feed with like a lot of, I mean, people from all sorts of walks of
Same,
life, like
same.
just casual people that are not part of the faith and people that are in the faith. But like the thing is, what I was thinking about was like, not that I have a problem with it, but it's like, where's the line? Because, you know, there's performances as well. And like
Mm.
some of the, you're required to wear a costume that's like a bit like not really modest and stuff.
Yeah.
So like, it's good that you're here because I wanted to
Mm.
ask you like, what are your thoughts on pole, man? Like for real. Like, I mean, what's
Like
everyone's thoughts
my
on it?
personal thoughts.
Yeah,
on
yeah.
pole?
Have you tried? Yeah, one.
No, because I don't think my body moves like that personally. Like I couldn't do that. I'm very stiff. I'm a very stiff individual. Like I just can't do that. I don't know. I've seen it a lot. It has sort of like caught my eye in terms of like, oh, like that person's doing that. But it's not in like a, oh my God, what am I seeing? It's like, oh, okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. But then like, I understand like the whole, like, you actually can't be clothed to do pole because you'll slip
Yeah, you
off
need-
the
because you
pole.
need grip.
Yeah.
You need
Yeah,
grip.
you'll actually sit. That's why people are like pretty much, it's just like a bra and undies pretty much because you actually can't have it. You've got to have some, friction on that.
Yeah.
But then the one thing I don't understand, I think, is like
The
have you seen the
heels?
stripper heels?
Yeah,
like the really, really
the
big
high
stripper
It's
heels?
part of the dance.
But see, I'm like, that is like, that's a little bit suggestive. I'm like, I don't think I have any issue with people doing it as like a hobby, as
Yeah.
like a, anything like that. But I think the minute that it becomes a little bit suggestive, as in like, ooh, wait a minute,
But
like
what if-
you wouldn't want your mom to see that, then it's like, okay.
What if
Yeah.
those like the heels? They're
Mm.
like running shoes. You know, let's say you go running, you wear running shoes, right?
So
As in, like, pole
essentially you're
dancing,
saying it's like
runnings.
heels is part of that sport.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well
what if
then,
it is?
well I don't know. I've never looked.
Yeah.
I've never personally looked into it.
I think it would be. But I mean, like from just a secular point of view, it's fine, right? But as a Christian, is what we're talking about here. Is like,
Mm.
where's the line? Like, yeah, you can go out and enjoy it. Like,
Yeah.
maybe they might look at it like tattoos. Like, you get tattoos. Like, is it? Like, are we seeing the same progression with pole? Like, is the stigma like fading away,
Interesting.
and it's more of a recreational, hobby that people just go to get fit now, or is
Yeah.
it more than that? You know what I mean? Like, but that's the same with tattoos, though. I could still get ritual type tattoos, and people wouldn't. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you could get into that in a bad way as well. But it's like, what do you guys? Yeah, like,
I don't know. See, I don't know where I stand with that because I feel like it's like along the same lines as like yoga, right? Yoga is actually like not very. It's like derivative of like what's it called? Like
There's like spiritual stuff.
yeah,
It's like was it Hindu culture?
Yeah,
It's
I
like
think
the
yeah.
poses and
Hinduism,
stuff like that.
So I think it's like a lot of the poses are like worship to like the Hindu god. I don't know what his name is,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
like. But then I know so many people that still do it. But I'm like, so then the question is like, if you do it without the intention of worshipping, is it still okay? But then I apply that to pole and be like, if your intention is just to get fit and you have to dress a certain way to do it and you just genuinely enjoy it, then I'm like,
You do
what's the
you.
harm? Like, you do you. Like,
yeah,
I do
Yeah.
have a question though,
Yeah.
like because you guys talk about like it's appearing on your feet and stuff.
mm,
Have you actually
oh.
seen guys doing it?
well, I wouldn't say so. No.
I've seen fruity guys do it. Like,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
And that just gave me a thought about that, like the posting on Instagram and stuff like that. Would you say that it's okay to just like, because like you said, like they need that skinship with the pole, right? To be able
Yes.
to be able to pull off those moves, right?
Yeah.
But like it doesn't mean that they necessarily have to post that stuff, right?
No,
I mean, especially if
I
it gets a bit
guess.
too much, But I mean, that's why people can have private accounts and stuff. So it's like, like what's permissible, what's not. Like, I mean, we're not gonna come to a conclusion here. It's kind of just all opinions.
no,
It's all up
yeah.
in the air.
I honestly think like it's a hobby. People want to show off their hobbies. Like, Jovan, you cook, you want to show it
Yeah,
off. Like,
true.
you
Yeah.
dance, you want to show it off.
That
like,
is true. That is
right?
true.
Like,
Yeah, that's true.
I honestly think it's just because where we have seen pole before, it's been like burlesque, it's been like entertainment,
Yeah.
and it's been suggestive entertainment.
Uh-huh.
So I think then it like rings alarm bells in our head. But like,
Stigma,
I
yeah.
feel like if you were to see like a girl on like a Pilates machine or like a reformer in the same outfit, you wouldn't think twice.
No.
It's just like the suggestiveness of the dance.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah.
Because
To me, I'm like,
I mean, the same sort of outfit goes to like when you're at the beach, right? Girls
That's
wearing
right.
bikini. I remember like I don't know if you remember, we were talking about something, and then I think Jared, you brought up something along the lines, right? When we look at something and we sort of project our own like nastiness to it, or
That's
our
on you
own
then, yeah.
perversion to it.
Yeah.
I know,
Mm.
is it how it feels like when we
Ah.
see this kind of feet? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true, Oh, that's interesting.
What do you think, Jara?
Yeah, what do you
like? What are
think?
your thoughts?
On pole and stuff.
Yeah, like what's your like initial reaction to seeing it?
Like, I think after someone explained to me why they do it, I'm like, oh, I get it. You know, like I get why people do it to get fit and stuff, and it's like an interesting way to do that.
Yeah.
But it's like also a bit of that perverse thoughts. But then that also comes from the whole stigma of where it derived from. You know what I mean? Like from burlesque and like
Yeah.
and all this stuff. So what are you asking here? You're asking like, am I okay with it or?
I guess. Like, okay, what was your initial
Your
reaction?
first
Like
thoughts.
your first like instinctive reaction.
I was like, oh, whoa, okay. Like, wow, Yeah, I mean, because I had this thought in my head and I was thinking like, if I had a daughter and she was telling me that she does pole, would I allow it? And to be honest with you, I would probably say like, maybe you could find a different thing to get into, that's what I would suggest to them. I'd be like, look, like, I know that you want to be empowered and stuff like that, which I understand completely that some people do, but I just wouldn't feel comfortable if she was posting this online and all these other boys are looking at her. You know what I mean?
See, I think it's different. I think because guys think that way because you guys know what other dudes are thinking because you guys are thinking it, right?
Yeah.
But when like, don't even. And
there you go, Nick.
But for girls, it's like, cool. Like the first thing I think when I see one of my friends doing that, and I'm like, I never knew she had that kind of core strength to hoist herself up onto a pole. Like that's the first thing I'm thinking. Like, so I honestly think it just comes back to like the broader issue of like,
the stigma.
Yeah, it's like the stigma. So it's like, do what you will, but I feel like, yes, we're talking about it as a topic, but at the end of the day, it's not that deep. It's really not that deep. Like,
it's true. Unless you're like out there just trying to be a siren and like actually,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, unless you have like intentions, like,
like
bad
thoughts,
like nasty.
Yeah.
Nick's pretty quiet on this whole thing.
Yeah, I was just trying to think about
He's
it.
trying to keep himself safe, I think.
Yeah. I do not want to get into trouble with this. Well, my thoughts on this is it's along the same lines of like when you hear about Christians like fighting.
Like
because
MMA.
you're like, because you can't go in the mindset going like, I don't want to hurt this guy. You have to go in the mindset like, I'm going to freaking destroy this guy. Kill this guy, right? Because that's the only way you're going to get yourself to be able to attack him, literally. Yeah. And I feel like that's the same with the whole pole situation or or like you said, tats and things like that.
Well said.
And what you said, I don't think there is an actual answer for this because I feel that there are so many elements that come into this whole topic.
Yep.
You got one, like you said, the stigma of whatever you're doing, right?
Yeah.
Fighting, we already know is bad, but now half of UFC fighters are all like, after this, they're like, thank you, God, praying, loving God. Yeah. And I have no doubt those guys are as hardcore of a Christian as I am. Yep. But then like you said, where's the line? What do you do? Because a minute ago, this guy was about to like beat this guy's face in, but it's like for them, they see it just as a sport. It's like a hobby, it's the technique, it's about the culture, it's about all of that. Yeah. But I feel like it's the same with pole and girls, right? Like it's the culture. They want to get fit and stuff like that, and they want to be able to do what they're passionate about without worrying like, oh, because guys find it like sexualized or whatever, then we don't do it. They want to do it because they want to do it. True. Because it's not their fault that guys are like wired this way to look at that. But I feel like that's why it's so hard to find the line because it's that. But then I was also thinking about your thing where it's like, if I had a daughter, would I want to do that? No. But then I was like, why? Because one, obviously that stuff. But two, I also think because it's how you're brought up culturally. Yeah. We come from like an Asian culture, and Asian culture in general is very private. It's very close off to these things. So this stuff to us is always going to look a little bit weird because we grew up thinking like this stuff was just something that we don't touch or go to because it's just weird. Like, like for us, we grew up thinking that it's different. Like it's too much, And like you said, like Grand Theft Auto, those video games or strip clubs, like all these kind of things show that it's that. But I feel like it's the same with all this stuff, fighting, everything. It all comes together where how you are brought up actually influences it a lot. Because I don't want to think about it's like rap music, right? Yep. Like a lot of rappers and stuff that say they're Christian and stuff, but they swear like every second word. But then I was thinking about it, it's like these guys could actually generally love God as much as like I do, or they read, but it was the culture that they brought that is so normal because it's the environment. And like for me, where I draw the line, I think for me, something that my mentor used to always say to me, it's like, no matter what you do, you have to try and not be a stumbling block for other people. And I think that's a big thing. And it's even harder if you're a leader in any capacity, right?
Yeah.
Because as a leader, I do not want to stumble someone else. And it's hard because like, you can't avoid everyone. You say like, oh, poop, and this guy could be like, hey, you're a stumbling block to me. I don't like it when you say poop. And you're like, bro, obviously that's to an extent,
true.
but then there are still things that you can control. Let's say, if somehow I'm into pole, okay,
I would
like
not
me
want to
in
imagine.
Oh God, I
tight,
just imagine.
yeah, okay,
Get it out, get it out.
Oh God.
yeah, like I would know that as much as I'm into it and I know that I'm doing it for fitness, because I'm a leader in a church or just at any capacity, I know that some people might get stumbled by it. Not in a good way, but in a bad way, right? Like, so because of that, I would, as much as I want to share it, I would stop it because for me, I know that I'm responsible for people under me or the people
Yeah.
around me. So that's kind of like my line. Like if I'm into fighting and stuff, like I would still do it and people would know about it. I'm not gonna talk about it. But because on the internet, anyone can interpret anything in their own way, right?
Yeah.
And so I'll just be careful on that. And that's where, I guess for me, that's where it stands. I think everyone's a little bit different, but you just got to know why you're doing it and what's the message you're sending out.
Yeah.
I think that's the big one because, yes, it's good to be proud of what you do, but you got to be careful because everybody sees it from their own lens
Yeah.
and they're going to interpret whatever way it wants. And you're pretty much going to be at risk. If I'm talking from a Christian point of view or any person with any responsibility, it's like you got to potentially know, like, what you post could potentially harm someone or stumble someone in a not very good way as well. So how do you
Absolutely.
balance that and live up to that responsibility?
Wow, just a whole ass sermon there.
Oh, sorry,
Come
guys.
on.
Let's go.
Yeah.
But then again, because I'm thinking, like, obviously, if you talk about, if you're a leader and stuff like that, it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
But then again, the whole concept about stumbling others, it's not a. I feel that that's a very exclusive concept to believers.
It is.
To
Same.
Christians,
Yeah.
right? So it's not necessarily to, like, if you're a leader, then that's that only applies to you. It applies to as long as you're a believer. So and I think it's not just that as well. I mean, even if you're not, if we talk about secular, right, you've got people that will look up to you
Yeah.
and the message that you're sending.
Yeah.
So I guess, I mean, somewhere you're right. It's what thing are you representing, right? What kind of message you're representing?
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
I think, I mean, the whole stigma on like pole. I mean, obviously throughout the years, I've got tons of friends that's actually got into pole.
Same.
Yeah,
Same.
tons of friends.
Yeah.
And it is obviously the peers on my feet as well. And but I believe like the stigma over the years have definitely changed. Like it's changed to something that's really healthy. But interestingly, I have to say, I don't recall many of my Christian friends that are actually doing it. Maybe,
But it could still be a stigma thing, like you said, just culturally.
Yeah,
but also can be the people around you, like what they're
possibly.
into.
I mean, maybe it's from most of my friends are a little bit more conservative.
Yeah.
So, but it's actually interesting because I mean, obviously, you brought up this whole thing about how does it portray, right? How far can you go as a Christian? Like, where should be the line? I find it that I think as long as you are clear on the message, like why you're doing it, and if you know that, like you say, if someone's going to be stumbled, maybe it's good to talk to the people, explain why you're doing it.
That is true. But see, let me just throw like a little spanner in the works, right?
Yeah.
There's like a whole, like John mentioned, like, okay, sorry, name drop. John mentioned,
Who's John?
sorry.
Who's John?
John Smith.
Anyway, our mentor, he mentioned like at the end of the day, we try not to be a stumbling block, right? I disagree.
Ooh.
I full on disagree
She wants everyone to
with that.
fail and fall, man.
No,
She
it's
just wants to see
not
the world
that.
burn.
It's not that. It's not that. It's not that. And let me tell you why.
Okay.
Let me tell you why. I feel like in the brain of a girl, when we look at another individual, let's say even a guy, it's we're wired differently. We don't go there. So to stumble us
Go
is
where?
not in the, where you go.
Home.
You guys know what I'm talking
Home
about.
is where the heart is.
Hey.
So pretty much, like, I feel like, honestly, everyone and their bloody dog is going to get stumbled by you at one point. Like, whatever you do, let's say if I'm wearing this, one person is
Stumbling.
one man out there is going to get stumbled.
It's
too
man
long.
or
It's a-
woman, all
it's
right?
red.
Man
Look at
or
those
woman.
hands.
It's red. Look, the neck is out.
Look at those man hands.
Dang, not the man hands. But so I feel like there is a point to where you draw the line, even when like not becoming a stumbling block. Because I'm like, okay, even in the Christian sphere, if you are just going into places that you know that you are 100% not going to be that doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. This world is full of sin, correct?
Yeah.
So I'm like, what are you going to do about that stumbling block as a Christian? If you are constantly avoiding it, how are you getting better as a Christian? Like, how are you actually improving as a Christian if you are constantly just avoiding it? My theory, my belief is like, do as you will. Like, still consider like not being a stumbling block. I'm not going to sit here in like a small mini skirt and like like plunging top.
Yeah.
But that is because I don't want to wear that. Does that make sense? It's also like, I don't know. I've lost my train of thought, but it's like it works both ways.
Right, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Say we have a guest on, right?
Yeah.
And they want to wear a
Yeah.
mini skirt without underwear and sit with their legs spread apart.
So you can see like everything.
Yeah, then what is that? That's
I feel like
definitely
that's
a stumbling
indecency.
block, right?
Then you
No,
censor.
that's not a stumbling block anymore. That's just indecent. That's rude.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
yes.
But I get what you mean.
Yeah.
But I feel like you can make any example extreme, right?
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
in reality, not many people would do that. And I think that in situations like this, I learned that we can't go to the extremes
Yep.
because
Yeah.
then obviously we're always gonna find,
Yeah,
and that's how we don't agree. I think where you come from, I actually kind of agree to that because I actually had this conversation with our mentor early on and being like, he was telling me like you can't do this, you can't post this, you can't do that because you're a leader, it's stumbling block, and I get that. But I also said like everybody's going to get offended by something.
That's right.
So
yeah.
that's why I believe like you should still be proud and just do what you want to do. Because at the end of the day, people's opinions, everyone's
Yeah.
going to have one. But at the end of the day, you need to also, especially if we're a leader at any capacity or a Christian or just someone with people looking up to us, that you have to consider it. It doesn't have to be your number one thing that you always think about. It's like, I want to play football today. Oh, but what if someone hates that I play football?
Yeah.
Doesn't make
You
sense.
live for yourself.
Yeah, you got to
Yeah.
do what you
Do
want,
what you
but you
for-
also have to
yeah.
be aware about, look, I
think
need
that's
to,
a good way to put
like,
it. Yeah.
I can't push too much as much as
Yeah.
I want to, because I feel like that's where the extreme comes from. It's like, no, I'm not going to let anyone tell me what I'm going to do and do what I want. And then that's where the extreme comes in.
Yeah.
And then we end up just, butt naked, like mini skirts out. That kind of extreme will
Yeah.
come one day because we feel like we just want that. Oh, I want to do what I want so
Yeah,
bad
it's like pent up.
that it just goes all the way like out of hand. And I think that a balance of both is good.
I actually have a question. Because you guys talk a lot about, your mentor, telling you, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that because you're a leader. Do you remember when did he tell you that? Was it when you guys were a lot younger?
We were a lot
Yeah.
younger.
Yeah.
You were a lot
Yeah,
younger.
because I had a similar conversation with this person as well.
With this man.
John Smith.
John Smith.
Mhm.
Hey, it's very interesting. We were talking about obviously, sometimes you would catch me saying the word dang, and and it's been flagged
Dang.
like dang, like
Like DANG?
D-A-N-G,
Is that a bad word?
or
Is that
a
a bad word?
variation of that.
Oh.
Yeah, okay.
This
Or
is
it
a whole
comes from
nother
the root
topic.
word
itself, yeah.
damnation.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So obviously, I got flagged, and obviously they were like, it's a stumbling block. But so I remember having this conversation with John Smith,
Mm-hmm.
and one argument, or not argument, but one thing that he brought up that was really interesting was that he was saying that yes, it could be a stumbling block to someone else, but if such a word could be a stumbling block to your faith, then you should probably check on your faith.
Yep.
Like, why are you so easily stumble?
Mm.
So I thought that was pretty interesting. But that's why I think it's interesting to see that obviously when he was talking to you guys, when he was mentoring you guys at a much younger age, he would tell you like, don't do this, don't do that. Because I feel like at a younger age, you want people to tell you that, so that that creates an awareness in you. So as you grow up, you use that lens to view life. So you don't at least you know that, okay, I do need to think about some of these things. And as you grow up, and I guess he probably doesn't tell you the same thing anymore. Right?
Oh no,
Yeah,
it's
so-
different. Like our relationship has changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's interesting, like
For sure.
That's
No, I'm
something-
glad that he's had these like conversations with us when we were younger.
Yeah.
Like,
But I think what's good is that it's not like telling us
yeah,
because he's not framing us to think like that. It's more like
Have a
he's
think
trying to
about it.
talk to you for you to realize and make that decision yourself and see what you
yeah.
And
want.
I think that's important. Like I've got a kid, right?
Yeah.
I want to have the same kind of conversations with him. It's not telling him what to do, but at least like instilling
Yeah.
or giving him that opportunity to think about it.
Yeah.
And he's got to make his own decision.
Yeah, because I feel that a lot
Absolutely.
of people go to the extreme because their whole life they've been told what to do. And obviously that's never the right way because at the end of the day, someone that may strongly disagree or may not understand might just it will pent up and then it will come out in a very extreme manner, which obviously is not right either. And I think that how you balance that is to have that conversation like early on or whenever you get a chance to, so that you can find a way to kind of talk it out before the extremes have to come in.
Yeah.
But that's just my
So that's
thoughts on
sort
it.
of how it frame our mindset towards like culture, right?
Yeah, because at the end of the day, I think we have to realize with social media and everything now, it's so easy to get information and it's so easy to offend someone. You know, like you can turn around like in the next corner, you potentially could offend someone already. You say one word, you could already. And I
Yeah.
think that, and I think that that is something that we also have to keep in mind. Like what you said, right? Like, why do we get so affected by what someone does?
Yeah.
You know, that may not be anything. Like for us, for me, the way I see it is because we're Christians, we read the Bible. We know what the Bible says is right or wrong. And if something that someone says like, you know, like dang or something like that, that doesn't really it's not really mentioned in the Bible too much, then I feel like that's where it comes to like, okay, let's figure out where the line is from here.
Yeah.
You know, is it too far for me to be like, don't say that ever, like it really stumbles me, or you know, it's like, okay, I get it. Maybe it's a cultural thing. Maybe it's how you grew up. And then how can we find a line to be able to do that? But I think that's just my thoughts on it.
Yeah. It's tough, hey, dancing between the lines and stuff. Like, I think I was once told, it might be like related to something different, but it's kind of like, why even look for where the line is? Just stay as far as you can away from
Run
it
as
kind of
far
thing,
as you
right?
can.
Which is not wrong either.
It's not wrong, but I also agree with what you guys are saying as well. Like, that stumbling block stumbles you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, thinking about that all the
Yeah.
time, you're just not going to post things. You know what I mean? So, like, it's, yeah, I guess in the way, it is finding a balance, isn't it?
But it's interesting because you're saying that, like, you know, run as far as you can, you know, from that line.
Yeah.
But, like, I mean, the whole reason why we're talking about this centers around we should, you know, we are off the world. Well, no, we're in the world, but not off the world,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So that's the whole point. But one thing that I find about this whole culture, like, you know, how far it is, you know, where's the line? It's interesting because we're always trying to establish, all right, this is a part of the culture that we shouldn't get into, right? We shouldn't
Drawing lines.
engage, you know, we shouldn't
Yeah.
pass. It's like the DMZ, right? You can't cross that line.
Yeah.
You can't cross that line. You got to stay behind the line. But I feel like it's interesting because if I look back into, obviously, if you look into the Bible, Jesus constantly engages the line.
Yes, he engages with people that have long passed the line.
Yeah,
too.
that's the thing. So to me, I feel like this whole culture thing, right, where you draw the line, I feel like a lot of it's about engagement, right? How you
Yeah.
engage, right? Because if you talk about it like tattoos, right? Christian getting tattoos, like, you know, that might stumble other people, but
Yeah.
is it appropriate? Is it not appropriate? You know, your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit and stuff like that. But it's all about that engagement, right? When you engage in that culture, there's certain things that you do. For example, like, you know, when we're talking about culture of pole, right? Maybe wearing, you know, not very modest clothings or like, you know, high heels. It's
Yeah.
about engaging that culture, right? But when you're engaging in the culture, you see, that's how I feel, right? As Christians, it's not about whether are we in the line or are we over the line or out of the line. If we want to, I guess, be a Christian, we have to engage the culture.
I agree. Absolutely.
Yeah, we have to. Because if not,
Yeah.
and I feel like if you think about it, right, as a Christian, I don't know, like, for example, you're with your friends, and your friends are going to go, for example, they're going to go to a strip club. You know, obviously, then, you know, look, maybe that's not a line that, or not a culture that you want to engage in. Because you know that engaging in that culture will not reflect Christ in any way. You can't say that, I want to show them, God's love.
Yeah.
I want to
go
be the
with you.
light in the strip
Yeah,
club.
I'll tag along. you know?
Yeah, it doesn't, right?
Yeah, there's no way. Like,
Yeah.
be for real. Yeah.
Yeah, but for example, if let's say they're good people, they like MMA,
Mm.
but you get to engage in that culture, then you get to be able to show them how a Christian who likes MMA
Yeah,
is like,
for sure.
yeah.
Mm.
Obviously, the obvious ones
Mm.
we don't engage, right? For example, like you don't watch porn to engage people who like to watch porn.
I just need to understand.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's
Oh
how
my
I
God.
feel, right?
Yeah,
You're
absolutely.
engaging in that
Yeah.
culture
Yeah.
and being a little part of it,
Mm.
but you need to show them that you're not engaging for the sake of being in the culture, but you're
Mm.
engaging because you want to show them how Christ is like
Yeah, that's
in that
super
culture.
important.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I agree. I think like a lot of us, we know that the world is constantly changing,
Yeah.
right? You need to adapt, especially for us. If we want to reach the next generation, we have to change to understand them
Right.
because it's all about building
Mm.
relationship and rapport.
Absolutely.
But if we don't, how can we do it? But I feel like the scary thing about that, like what you were talking about, is because we engage so much, we lose our own kind of values and
Focus,
thoughts
yeah.
in the way, and
Mm.
we lose that line of what's right and what's wrong.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's where we have to be very careful in doing that.
Mm.
Like you need to know your values as a Christian and what the Bible actually says.
Mm.
But a lot of the times when we engage, you get lost and then you start twisting like words and things. I remember there was someone that we used to, like I had a debate with, and it was like, it's clear that in the Bible it says, or like we talk about it where premarital sex is not something that we should do. It's something
Yeah.
that is sacred and it's meant for
Mm.
marriage and
Mm.
stuff.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then he came up to me and he had a point and he was like saying, but God says show love, and how I show love is sex. And I was like, what?
Yo, someone said that.
Yeah. You know who, but
Do I?
But
Oh, whoa,
it's ages
whoa,
ago,
whoa.
ages
Oh,
ago.
okay.
Like
Friends
when
Friends
we
with
were
this
like
person?
in high school. Acquaintance, I guess.
Mm.
Tell
But-
me after.
Yeah.
Offline.
But that's something that like I kind of grieve because you're making the Bible about you and what you feel, which is not right? Like it's not
It's-
about how we
yeah.
interpret it. It's the word. It's-
Manipulating the word.
yeah. But then that's because he was so engaged with culture that he wants to be able to reach it. But then you get lost in that, and that's something that I feel that we have to be very careful.
Correct.
Yeah,
You don't just
100%.
change for the sake of changing,
Yeah,
right? And all
yeah.
these
Yeah.
things, like I get it, culture changes, but we need to adapt, but
Mm.
also keep what is our strong values and who
Mm.
we are
Mm.
strong as well. Like because I was thinking on another example. It's not so extreme, but cross dressing, right? Guys wearing gold clothes, stuff like that. Used to be like, whoa, that's weird. Now on every single TikTok, every single video, is guys
Yeah.
going to the women's section in Uniqlo and stuff and wearing but it's so accepted and it's okay now.
Okay, I think I'm gonna have to disagree with you on this one. I feel like as long as like it's okay, cross dressing is like I feel like you're intending to look like a woman, but I feel like if you're reaching for a top or pants in the women's section, that literally is just the same with a different cut and style. That's fine.
No, but that was
Absolutely
actually
fine.
what I was gonna say too. She cut me off.
Oh,
But I was just like saying, because culture now, that's so
Sorry.
like it's just fashion. It's how people
Yeah.
express, and the whole stigma of guy clothes, girl clothes used to be so far apart, and now it's
but
like
now it's very
yeah,
Yeah.
it's very close.
Yeah.
But then for someone like for me, I was like, I still find it very weird that I'm gonna potentially put women's like pants on. There was once when Uniqlo, yeah, was like, hey, yo, this pants is trending right now for guys to wear.
Yeah.
It's like so weird on my hips and so I was like, for me, it's still uncomfortable. But I understand like fashion and culture and how like, hey, it's cool. And it actually looks good,
Yeah.
But at the
Yes, it
same
did.
time, it's like, that's just one small example and how things constantly change. And if we don't adapt
Yeah.
and we stick to like our thoughts before,
Yep.
you're going to end up hurting a lot more people than reaching out and caring for them
Mm.
and stuff.
Yeah, I think with the pants and
Yeah.
jackets and shirts, to me, it's nothing.
Yeah.
But it's like when you start wearing things that are exclusively meant for women, like skirts.
Oh, yeah.
So like,
Ah.
okay,
Oh,
okay,
oh,
don't
oh,
cancel
oh,
me,
oh,
don't
oh,
cancel me.
unless you're of unless you're Irish.
Oh yeah,
No, but that's not
a
really,
kilt.
that's kilt
Yeah,
though.
That's
That's
cultural. But
Yeah.
I mean, I guess people could argue they're just wearing kilts everywhere.
but
But that's not
short
culturally
ones.
that's culturally inappropriate.
Oh,
Am I
yeah.
right?
No, but that's
Yeah.
why I said like culture is so important, right? The
Yes.
context is so
because
important.
wasn't it who's that basketball player that wore a skirt? and a shirt?
Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, Russell Westbrook, and then there's Jaden Smith, and then
Yeah.
it's like all sorts of people wearing these.
Mm.
Oh, I mean Harry Styles as well,
Mm.
and it's like, I don't
Blurring
know.
the lines.
But then you see, for you saying that skirts are meant for women, right? Is that because it's a cultural thing that we all grew up thinking?
Man-made construct. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
But then, but I get
Technically
it. I
it
get
is.
it. I get
Yeah.
it though.
But we need a definition, right? I mean, in that sense. Because if
Yeah.
everything's just a man-made construct, then literally everything is a man-made
Well, yeah,
construct.
literally,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's
Yeah.
that's the irony.
Yeah.
That is
But
true.
yeah,
Because that's the thing, right? If you don't stand up for truth, right, or if you don't stand up for a definitive answer, everything could be the truth. I could identify as a white man.
What?
Sorry, then I don't want to sit here talking now.
whoa, hey,
Whoa, 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 whoa,
Sorry,
whoa,
I'm
whoa,
out.
whoa.
Don't cancel me first.
Hey, what are you saying about our Caucasian audience that listens in? Come
Yeah.
on.
No.
Sorry.
But the thing is, that's the thing, right? There needs. I mean, it's an irony that we say we have to draw a line somewhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We have to,
it's
because if you don't stand up for something, you're not standing up for anything at all, right?
Yeah.
So if there's no real truth, then then everything is relative in that sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if everything's relative, why are we talking about what we're talking about? Because everything that we're talking about could be relative in that
That's
sense.
true.
in a way,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at if, I'm sure you guys. I brought it up with you guys during the week. It's when Maverick City did collab with Quavo, and because we were talking about pretty much what we've been talking about has been countercultural in a sense,
Yeah.
like being the salt and light of this earth,
Yep.
doing what we're meant to be called to do, and then we're just talking about lines in here and there. But like, apparently it wasn't received too. It was like 50-50. I feel like some people were like, yeah, that's great seeing like Christian artists working with like artists like Quavo,
Yeah.
so that like in a way it gets them out there, and people are like, oh, more like gospel scene, like I'm getting into that, and they realize that this is a Christian group, and like it leads to certain things, right? But it's like is that okay? Like, I mean, what do you guys think? Because some people in the comments were like, oh, I'm not okay with that, or like, because for me personally, where I sit is like, I'm okay with that. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong,
Yeah.
that's kind of what we should be doing,
Mm.
right? But then it's like what we were talking about before about how like I don't know, I feel like Maverick City hasn't done anything yet to show that they're not on the right path. You know what I mean? But I mean, there's a lot of different other examples, like some that I can think of on top of my head.
Justin Bieber.
Justin Bieber.
Justin Bieber. Yep.
But look, again, it's like, everyone's journey is different.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, he had a lot of things going on with Hillsong and like Carl Lentz and stuff like that.
Mm.
It may have affected his faith a little bit too, like maybe he still
Yeah,
believes.
no doubt.
I'm going around about here. Someone help me, but
Uh,
but yeah, I
But
think
yeah, I get your
we'll
point.
go
Yeah.
back to what I'm
Yeah.
talking about Maverick City, and,
Yeah.
and it's like how far into the culture should we be? Because obviously look at Jesus, and he was like in the thick of it.
Yeah.
But he's Jesus, right? But like,
Yeah.
are we supposed to be that close like Jesus? Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it's like, yes, we're called to be salt and light and stuff like that, but
Mm.
we got to remember that was Jesus. This
Yeah.
man never sinned. He's
Mm.
clean, right?
Mm.
For us, we're born of
But
the
he was
flesh.
still tempted.
He was tempted,
He was still tempted.
but he's also Jesus.
He's also Jesus, but he was still tempted. You know?
Mm.
Yeah.
So would you say that like, yes, we are? I mean, honestly, I feel like kind of called to that as well. In the season of like just modern Christianity and stuff like that, we need to be there. And like,
Yeah,
oh yeah, that's
agreed.
right. Now I remember what I was saying. Who's that pastor? The creative pastor of?
Charles Metcalf.
Yes, that guy. Yeah. So like, what are your thoughts on him as well? Like, what do you guys reckon? Do you know him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike Todd, right?
Yeah, because like,
No,
honestly,
not
when I
Mike
first,
Todd.
No, and the second guy.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Not second, but like the
Yeah,
guy
yeah,
that-
Creative pastor.
yeah.
yeah,
It's very creative, and I think he owns like a clothing brand as well.
yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, I'll share first because I think this was something that I've always spent so much time thinking about,
Yeah.
right?
Mm.
Because I was like, man, that always feels like the best of both worlds. You get
Yeah.
the popularity, the fame, the money, the whole that stuff, but you still get to do Lord's work. It's like the best of both worlds. It's just, but for me, it's just it always feels too good to be true.
Mm.
But I'll explain what I mean by that. And I think for me, it's when you say all those things, I think we are meant to be in the thick of it, to be where God exactly was. But I think in an ideal, perfect scenario is that we're there, but then the second we get out and we go home, we're like devotions,
yeah,
worshipping Lord, ideal, But the truth is, it's not like that. We go home, we're tired, we sleep, or we watch movies, you do other things, right? You're not always connected to God in that level where maybe some people are,
Mm.
but when you're in the
Mm.
thick of it, sometimes it's hard because that's where sin comes in, right? All the temptation comes in.
Mm.
The woman, the men, the money, the fame, the power, like all of
Mm.
these things. And we've seen it time and time again when
Mm.
people that have got so close and then have fallen.
Mm.
And I think for me, I was like, oh, how I feel about it, I think it's very, very dangerous. But I still think that we are meant to be in there. Because at the end of the day, yeah, we all sin and we all fall, but there's nothing wrong in trying your very best. Because no one goes in there and intend like, hey, I'm going to sin. But you're going in there going like, I'm going to try reach all these guys. It's just that along the way, they may have fallen for various of reasons. And I think that's why having a good support group, accountability, is so important. But also just like trying to be as close to God as possible. I think how you would know that you're stumbling, but it may be too hard to realize in there as well, is like when what you're doing, God's not in the middle of it anymore, you get distracted by stuff. That's when for me, it's over. But at the same time, it's like I'm nobody to be able to judge that because I'm not in that situation,
absolutely.
right? But I think I think that's why there's people like you saying comments and stuff saying this. I'm not okay but they're not there. Like they don't know, it's just their opinion. But I feel like those people that are doing that stuff is probably reaching way more people than those people in the comments saying no. To be able to, at the end of the day, that's what we're here for. And I think in terms of that specific example, for me, I feel like it's cool, as long as they keep true to their identity, like Maverick C. As long as they keep true to that they're a worship and they're here to glorify God and people can see God through their work, that's it. But if they start like, popping off, swearing, like doing all these things, then you'd be like, okay, maybe slow down a little bit.
That's not our brand
The second
anymore.
that God is not in the middle of what they're doing, I feel like then, okay, like maybe for me, it wouldn't sit so well. But for now, that's like you said, there's no fault, you know what I mean? They're just reaching out to people that need to be reached. And they are on a platform now where the whole world watches them, whereas
Absolutely.
if they never did, they wouldn't be reaching out to anybody at all, like in that sphere. So that's just how I feel about it.
I honestly reckon, like, just going back to like the whole Maverick City and Quavo thing, right? I genuinely think there's just like a whole epidemic of a group of Christians that are so uncomfortable with people that openly sin being in church, or people that openly sin being like accepted into the faith. But I'm like, then what is the point of church? What is the difference between you sitting behind closed doors and a person sinning publicly? Sin has the same weight. Like, who are you to judge that this person sins more than you? Like, so I think when you're talking about like Charles Metcalf, like I think like what you're referring to is like his dressing and stuff like that, because it's very like I feel like it's a very like genderless sort of dressing. Like he paints his nails. Like it doesn't bother me, but I think like the way that it would bother other people is because it is kind of genderless dressing, right? So then coming back to my point of like people like Christians not wanting to be associated with people that sin publicly or like are so make them feel uncomfortable just because they're not used to it. I feel like that's on you. Like because so, like it comes like into the question, right? Should gay people or should like people in the LGBTQIA community come to church? I feel like they should. What's stopping them? We sin, they sin. I don't agree with you being that way, but just because I don't agree with you doesn't mean you don't belong here or you don't belong in my home or you don't belong in this church, right? So I think it's the same thing. Like someone has to be able to reach out to certain like groups of people that the church doesn't normally associate with. So I think the more that we push them out and the more that we separate ourselves from them, the more the people are just going to hate the church. Like they're going to get the wrong idea, like that we just hate them. We don't associate with them.
It'll come across as the church feels that we are higher like than everyone else.
I mean, that's already the view of
exactly
like,
right,
the
but
secular world.
it shouldn't because like I think that's one way to put it. Year one has said like we all sin behind closed doors or in the light. Like it's all the same, and I think that the people that judge or would point out these things are just people that just feel that no one has caught them or seen them so they can tell people what to do, but they just have to look at themselves in the mirror and be like, oh man, I'm actually the same. It's just that no one's calling me out on it because you're in the shadows,
you're lurking.
Yeah,
I think that's because people have sort of like a sort of a differentiation of sin. Like, oh, maybe it's a sexual sin, or you're sinning a little bit more
Yeah.
than just
Yeah.
lying. But no, it's you know.
I mean,
at,
we all think like that.
at the
to
foot
us,
of the cross.
yeah.
It's the
But
same.
it's-
the
yeah.
same.
Exactly the
It's
same.
level.
But I
Right?
think that is such a hard topic to talk about, because the end of the
Yes.
day, some since even though in the Bible it says it's all the same, how a sin affects you is very different, right?
Different
Oh, yeah.
consequences.
Sexual
yeah?
sin
yeah.
compared to a white lie is not the same in our eyes, no matter what, because of the hurt that it brings and what it does.
Mm.
But it's the same in God's eyes.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Absolutely.
exactly, right. And it's like, but it's how we gonna take it. And
Mm.
at the end of the day, we know what the Bible says, but when
Mm.
you put emotions into it, it's always harder.
Yeah, true.
know?
Because I mean, coming back again, right? If you think about it, I mean, even Jesus, right? He was in the thick of it. He was, hanging out. He was engaging with people who were sinful. And if you put that in the same scenario, I don't see why it's different to, for
Yeah.
example, Maverick City and Quavo and stuff like that. We don't know. We don't know what's happening behind closed doors. Yeah, we
Yeah.
don't know what Maverick City is trying to do. Who knows? Maybe Quavo is having his own journey as well. We don't know. Yeah, but there's one thing that I'm constantly having in my mind, right? You know how like let's say you and your gals, you know,
Yeah.
all of you hang out together. One of the gals was like, you know what, this week, managed to, do something great, and they achieved something.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure everyone, would be happy for them. They would cheer them on, like, oh, you go, keep doing it and stuff like that. Why can't that exist in the church? Why
See-
can't, like, when you see other Christians like doing something great, let's say they're getting a bigger platform, right? For example, with this whole thing, why can't we all look at that and like, it's the first thing, right? The first thing that comes to your mind, oh, why are they collaborating with Quavo?
That is
Quavo.
true. It's an
But
odd way
instead
to
of like,
think.
wow, they're on the world stage.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's go. Quavo's the first one, Like, you're capturing territories that previously not available.
Yeah, that is how we should be thinking.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this whole thing, I mean, when we talk about culture, right? Being counterculture is basically being different from the mainstream culture. And this got me thinking. If you look in the Bible, I mean, if you look at the culture at the time, yes, they're religious, but look at the Pharisees. They were sort of countercultural as well. Like,
is
they
true.
were far removed from the common folk, right?
Yeah.
Far removed. They have, I guess you could say, they think they're a little bit more prestigious, right?
Yeah.
They're doing a little bit better than the common folk. They separate themselves from the common folk. But what did Jesus say? Jesus was unhappy with the Pharisees. Like, because they were so focused on their culture of like, we need to be removed from sin. We need to be holy. We need to keep these traditions, that they forget that the whole purpose of, God coming to earth, right? Jesus coming to earth is to engage with people who would never had the opportunity to know him, to know his love. So I feel, so to me, I think like with the example that you've given, the more the better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yes, there are chances of failure. There are chances of, where they may sin, they may fall. But I love what Nick's saying, to do this, I think, first of all, you need to be able to have a good support system. Obviously, you need to understand, like, why are you engaging this culture? Why are you engaging? Like, the purpose, the heart behind it. And then from there, you gotta stick with it, right?
Yeah.
And yes, the glitz and everything, it's tempting. But as long as every time you return to your root, you return to why you're doing this, and having people to cover you and being open to people actually, telling you about it, telling you off, like, hey, you're swaying, you gotta come back,
You need people like that.
Yeah, then you need people like that. And I feel then it creates a safety net for all of us. I mean, it's the same thing, right, with Kanye, right? And the whole Sunday service and everything.
Yeah.
When, I mean, everyone's saying, oh, why is he using, he's using this whole gospel thing to boost his fame, to make money and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure, no matter what I mean, obviously he's being cancelled now.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole thing.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure what he did at that moment, maybe he's brought some people to church. Or
That is
not even to
true.
church, to even know God. Like, how do we then take that away and say, oh, you know,
You can't question a person's intentions.
yeah, you can't. You don't know unless you know.
Unless you know.
Unless you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. I mean, like, I just had like a whole picture of what you were just saying. Like, I guess that's happening in our modern day now in a way that we're trying to part away from the ways of the Pharisees and kind of like, I mean, you could say like the traditionalists and all this and that, the people that condemn others. Like, we're trying to distance our way from them and try to get into a more modernized Christianity. But at the same time, I mean, it's looking like Charles Metcalf and all these people in Maverick City, which is great because they reach people that we can't reach before, right? But then it's what Nick said was about like, well, we need to make sure that we're still grounded in God.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But then it's like, it's interesting, right? Because we look at Charles Metcalf and we're like, oh, is he doing? You know, like you gotta catch yourself. Like I catch myself like, oh, am I judging him? Like, am I like it's like, oh, like Christians look like that too, which they can, you know. And he's doing a great job. I saw a story where he was like, he reshared someone else sharing his story, saying that, oh, this guy's like, this preacher's fire, and he also preaches good word or whatever like that. Non-Christian, he was swearing in the text, you know what I mean? But not Charles, but he's like, these are the people that we're trying to reach out for. So it's like, yeah, it's like finding that nice sweet spot. But I feel like the modern church now is kind of moving into that section where it's like we're kind of parting ways from what we were before. You know that like they always talk like the generation before us always talks about like the revival, you know, like that happened in Singapore and stuff like that, and like just spread across like Oceanic and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
I think we're gonna look at a different type of revival now, right? And which is a whole different topic, right? But yeah, it looks like the years ahead of us is gonna look kind of different. Like church is gonna it's gonna be, I don't know, it could be ugly, it could be also all right. I think it'll be a bit of both, you know.
Yeah, agreed.
And I think it's good to have diversity, you know? There's some churches where people are a little bit more conservative. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. It's there. I feel like that's where their conviction is, right? Because to me, I think at the end, the most important thing is that understanding the Bible is the final authority of our lives, right? And I mean, I think one of the examples that Nick brought up earlier was, for example, like the one like, you know, I give love, you know, through intimacy. Yeah, but the important thing for that is to understand that for that to happen, it's justifying, right? You're doing what you like, and you're using the word to justify what you like.
Yeah,
but it shouldn't be that.
No,
it should be the other way.
The word is black and white.
Right, it should be the other way. Where the word should guide what you do. Yeah, and then when you do, for example, when you're engaging in that culture, then you know, okay, there's certain things like you need to remember when you're engaging with a culture, you need to be in that culture.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when you're in that culture, you know, when you know we say, oh, we're in the world but not of the world. It's not that we're totally different, right?
Yeah.
We're not totally different.
Yeah.
The only difference that we should be is how we react. Yeah. As Christians, as God in us.
Set apart.
That's the whole thing.
Man, Christianity. Being a Christian really is living life on hard mode.
Literally.
Because like I was thinking like of an ideal church, right? It's like what you said earlier, like LGBTQ, all these people like coming to church, you know, like and all these things, right? But then at the same time, it's like we have to stick true to the word. I mean, not saying that they can't come to church, but they have to know that we're not okay with these things. And like the whole big argument about like abortion and all that stuff is like, you know, like I've heard there are churches that allow like lesbians and gays into their church and like let them actively just be, you know, walking their ways kind of thing. It's like, is that okay? You know, like it's like, yeah, it's like, you know, it's like trying to find that nice sweet spot, that war kind of, it is touchy, you know, don't quote me on that, but yeah.
A thought.
Wow. Okay. Well, that was great. That was cool. Thanks guys for the conversation. Pretty cool.
Worry.
Yeah, I think
Always
we've kind of exhausted it. I feel like
there's no conclusion.
There isn't.
It's just more like a conversation that will keep going till like honestly, I think forever, because that's something that involves everybody to make an effort to kind of understand one another.
And we're constantly engaging it.
Yeah.
You say it's changing, right?
Yeah.
Because by the time when we're ready for this culture,
the next thing will come.
Yeah.
And with social media, technology, all these things just move so much faster now that before you even get a grasp of what's happening now, the next thing has already arrived.
Yeah.
You know,
so too fast now.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it's pretty interesting because like even when we all go to the same church, we go to the same cell, and yet we have different views, different opinions on the same topic.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see how like other people see this topic too.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sure they will have very different opinions, if not the same.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Feel free to comment and like and all that.
Yeah, do
Let us
it.
know your thoughts as well. We would love
Yeah.
to hear from you guys.
Mm.
We want to thank you specifically, Jovan, for
Yeah.
coming on the show. So I was like thinking like, how was I going to change the words in? Actually, honestly, I was just talking and I couldn't breathe. You know, when you talk and you forget how to breathe sometimes? Bro, like,
Not really,
yeah,
but okay.
it's weird, man. Like sometimes I'm singing at church and I like just hold my breath. I don't know why I do that.
Well, so
You're holding
just,
your breath
like,
in awe of God, eh?
Yeah,
like
I guess so. He
praising
takes my
Jesus
breath
and
away,
passing out the
literally.
next second.
Yeah, I'm so in awe of his presence. Yeah, but yeah, thanks guys for tuning in. You know, we love doing what we do, and we love and appreciate that you guys take the time to tune in and watch us as
Yeah, for
well.
sure.
Thank you, Jovan, again.
Thank you
For
Thanks.
coming on.
Thanks
We'll
for
love to
having-
ha-
Thanks for having me.
Always good time having you on, man. Like we need to have you
Yeah.
more on.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we can talk about your. Maybe we'll have an omakase and we'll do a talk, a chit chat there. That would be pretty
Yay.
cool.
We
That's an
eat
idea.
tuna.
Something that you guys might want to tune in for. But yeah,
Wow.
this has been Yewan, Nick, Jovan, and Gyro. We have fresh goods. I don't know what I'm saying. Have a good day. Like, subscribe. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok. Follow Nick as well. He's trying to get up. He's trying to blow up. Help the guy out and stay fresh.
Stay fresh.
Stay fresh. See ya.